You have, over the years, over your career, you've already spent a great deal of time at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, except now you're living there and you're president. It's been 4 weeks. What's it like? How's it different?
I get up in the morning, look at Jill and say, where the hell are we? No, it's...
So Biden
look,
gets up and says, where the hell am I? And the GOP now will wake up every day and ask, what the hell do we do? As Donald Trump, who has normalized personal attacks in US politics, tore into Mitch McConnell after working so closely with him for 4 long years. The split is now official and Trump wants to lead the party in one direction to the midterms and beyond, while Mitch McConnell wants to lead the party in the other direction. Though for whatever reason, we have all conditioned to believe that Mitch McConnell gets things done and use him as the contrast to talk about democratic inefficiency, the results, as I see it, looks a little different. As the leader of the Senate, McConnell's biggest achievements are passing the tax cut, then packing the Supreme Court with conservative justices after effectively blocking Obama's nominee to the court. Just these 2 line items have torn apart 2 of the GOP's important pillars. First, the $1 trillion tax cut has completely killed the GOP's fiscal responsibility platform. It was just one decision, but one that will reverberate for decades, if not longer. Not for once the GOP will ever be able to claim that they put fiscal responsibility over and above everything else, because numbers don't lie. The promised economic growth due to the tax cuts never arrived, and the deficit has only continued to widen as the government earns less and spends more. McConnell, along with Trump, has removed fiscal responsibility from the GOP bucket, and it's never going back inside that bucket ever again. Then there is the constitutional originalist tag that the Republicans used to be so proud of. McConnell broke that one too. Politics is the art of perception. The way he blocked Obama Supreme Court nominee Merrick Garland and then turned around and pushed Trump's nominee Amy Coney Barrett when the country was in the middle of an election is the one reason why no one in the media is ready to buy Mitch McConnell's argument that he voted to acquit Trump in the second impeachment trial because Constitution did not allow him to do so. What used to clear so easily over our heads as Constitution and rule of the land now screams of hypocrisy. The GOP woke us up with their Merrick Garland, Amy Coney Barrett stunt and then gave us the morning coffee with their vote to acquit Trump in the second impeachment trial. We cannot sleep anymore because they have made sure that we cannot. Then, if you are talking about Mitch McConnell's ruthless effectiveness, I'm sorry to disappoint you again. You cannot measure effectiveness without looking at the scorecard. For 2 full years at the start of the Trump term, the GOP had the trifecta. It controlled the Congress, it controlled the Senate, and it controlled the White House. And what do they have to show now for it? A tax bill that was passed using the Budget and Reconciliation Act, a failed attempt to overturn the Affordable Care Act, and a long list of nothing burgers. A Muslim ban, a wall in the southern border, an empty seat in WHO that left us in the dark during one of the worst pandemics ever, a debt pile that exploded in the order of trillions, and an economy that will give a run for the money with the 1930s depression. It only took 730 days for the GOP under the Trump-McConnell partnership to go from controlling all 3 branches in Washington to lose all 3 of them. The Republicans are never supposed to lose control of the Senate, like ever. The structure itself is in favor of them, thanks to half a dozen small and white voter-loaded states, and yet the GOP lost control of the Senate. And folks, please don't forget, Biden was not supposed to win this election. I kind of earned the right to say this a bit more than the pundits because Kansas was the only channel that forecasted Biden will win exactly 306 electoral votes, when the entire contingent was talking about landslides in the order of 400 electoral votes or something. The election is actually closer than it looks, and in a weird way, the close nature of the election actually demonstrates the increasing democratic strength. Wait a minute, how can that be true? The election is closer than it looks, but its democratic advantage? Yes, it sounds like mutually exclusive sentence clubbed together. Let me explain. Biden won Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin with something like 40,000 plus votes, isn't it? A reversal in these three states would have Trump at 269. But here is the catch for the GOP. Biden edged past them, and he did it in two Republican bastions, Arizona and Georgia, where he was never supposed to win. So the GOP is doing well and they will win again? No, in fact, it's the opposite. Because Biden carried several swing states and two red states without knocking a single door. Biden won the White House against a cash loaded incumbent and without using the best tool that's available for campaigns. This is the most underestimated factor in this election, and the Republicans have tried to turn this election as a referendum on Trump and not on them, and shows the additional congressional seats they gained as proof. But if you look at the seats that the GOP flipped, you will notice one thing. All the seats were won by candidates of color, candidates from a minority group, a woman, a veteran, or a combination of all. And once again, even this gain was achieved without the Democratic side going full speed with door knocking. The Trump campaign knocked in the order of 2 million doors per week. The Biden campaign not only knocked any, but also prevented local candidates from doing so. Call it a mistake or whatever, Biden took a decision and stood by it. It could have cost him the White House, but he did so anyway. So yes, the election was close and Trump could have won, but only because Biden never pushed hard to bring out the low propensity voters to the table. But the GOP did everything to bring them out. And despite that, the GOP lost the Senate, it lost the Congress, and lost the White House by 7 million votes? Just imagine what would have happened if Biden knocked on 20 million doors and led the charge by walking down the streets in Miami-Dade. It would have been a wipeout like we have never witnessed in our lifetimes. That is where McConnell has left the party. And that is where Donald Trump has left the party. Both of them did this together, and both of them are busy blaming each other for the sorry state of the Republican Party. And both of them will not make way for anyone else as they want to control the future of the GOP. So what will be the future of the GOP? McConnell has made the same mistake twice. He could have cleaned the Trump group inside the GOP during the first impeachment trial. Or he could have done it at least during the second impeachment trial and blocked Trump from holding public office ever again. But he missed both of them trying to thread the needle under the non-existent cover of constitutionality. He saved Trump by refusing to convene the Senate for an emergency session when Chuck Schumer requested him to do so in the second week of January. Now, after he saved Trump, Trump has gotten personal, calling him a political hack and an unsmiling politician. Now, with the specter to run again, Trump will be able to control the GOP a bit more effectively, and he is in that situation because of McConnell's decision to acquit him. Now you tell me, is Mitch McConnell the ruthlessly effective politician? I sincerely doubt that statement. He has followed up one mistake after another, and in the process, the Republican Party has lost control of three important identities the party has carried for decades: fiscal responsibility, national security, and originalism. What does the GOP stand for today? Are they going to tell people that they are here to win? You cannot even win a Super Bowl if you have a platform that says we want to win, let alone an election that will be decided by 160 million minds. We are the party of the police? Yeah, right. Can someone play the January 6th clip and the Senate vote to acquit Trump back to back? We are going over a dead cliff. Yep, because you guys built it all the way to the top. We are not leading anymore. Yes, that's what Make America Great Again means: alone and suffering. The new originalism, you have to do it if you can do it. Mitch McConnell, Senate 1020. Party for personal freedom? Yes, we saw that during the pandemic. No other country had lost more people to COVID than the United States. Remember the rage that was unfurled against players who took the knee for the national anthem? That group, what did they do when cops were beaten by white men carrying American flags? Now, how is that group ever going to take the players to task for taking the knee again? They cannot. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. In 4 short years, one after another, GOP has lost control over everything that it said it stood for. And there is no way for them to reclaim any of those mantles. A long time ago, I had told my viewers that the GOP is headed towards a fracture. And the recent incidents gives us a clear view of how that is happening. A broken house will not stand up against an united opponent. All the Dems have to do is to stay together, and that will do. We don't have a party at the right of center, and it is not good for the country. But sadly, we are more worried about the future of the GOP than the people who say they are the GOP. There is a vacuum at that spot, the center right, and that vacuum is only going to get bigger by 2022. McConnell and Trump created it, and they both are now busy making it bigger.
More breaking news coming into the Situation Room right now. Former President Trump attacking Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell in the statement he just put out. Let's go to our chief congressional correspondent, Manu Raju. Manu, a truly scathing rebuke of McConnell by the former president.
Yeah, completely excoriating the former Republican leader, the current Republican leader of the Senate by the former president. A pretty remarkable attack against Mitch McConnell, who played a central role during Donald Trump's term in office, pushing through his nominees, Supreme Court nominees, and it was a key ally, but a major falling out over Donald Trump's role in the run-up to the January 6th riot in the Capitol, in which Mitch McConnell went to the Senate floor and blamed and blasted Donald Trump over his role, his handling of the riot, and said the former president bears moral responsibility for what happened, and even raised the specter that Donald Trump could face legal jeopardy for everything that he did in the run-up to the riot, even though Mitch McConnell voted to acquit Donald Trump in Saturday during the impeachment trial. But nevertheless, the former president out with a lengthy statement railing on Mitch McConnell. I'll read you part of it here. He calls he says Mitch is a dour, sullen, and unsmiling political hack, and if Republican senators are going to stay with them, they will not win again. He will never do what needs to be done or what is right for our country. Where necessary and appropriate, I will back primary rivals who espouse making America great again and our policy of America first. That last line, critical, because what Mitch McConnell's aim is over the next year or so is to regain the Senate majority that they lost after the January 5th runoffs, where two Democrats picked up those two seats, leading to a 50-50 Senate that Democrats now control. Mitch McConnell has said that he wants to push for candidates who he views as electable, whether they're backed by Donald Trump or not. But Donald Trump is making it clear here that he plans to engage and put himself in the middle of these Senate primaries, making it a loyalty test of sorts between Donald Trump, the former president, his policies, as well as Mitch McConnell. So we'll see how that plays out in key states where Republicans are eager to take back the Senate. And Wolf, the question too for Mitch McConnell is, how does he respond? He has not backed down from his criticism of Donald Trump, writing in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, there's no question former President Trump bears moral responsibilities. His supporters stormed the Capitol because of the unhinged falsehoods he shouted into the world's largest megaphone. His behavior during and after the chaos was also unconscionable, but impeachment is not some final moral tribunal. He also, Wolf, blames Donald Trump for his suggestion, his conspiracies that the election was stolen and rigged as a reason why they lost in Georgia. So a lot of blame going around here, but tonight a scathing rebuke by the former president against the most powerful elected Republican who's currently an office holder here in Washington.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I just read the statement that the former president put out, Manu. Among other things, he gets very personal in attacking McConnell. He says Mitch is a dour, sullen, and unsmiling political hack, and if Republican senators are going to stay with him, they will not win again. He then rails against Mitch McConnell. He says he has no credibility on China because of his family's substantial Chinese business holdings. How is this going to play with Republican senators?
Well, I think the Republican senators, as they've done for 4 years as Donald Trump, when he was president, was to ignore the Trump controversies. Undoubtedly, they'll be asked questions by reporters like me about these comments. Most of them will likely side, they'll say they're supportive of Mitch McConnell, but there are a handful who are critical of what McConnell has said about Donald Trump. Ron Johnson, for one, the Wisconsin Republican senator, criticized that he did not appreciate what McConnell said in his criticism of Donald Trump, there are some Republicans who agree with what Ron Johnson is saying, but there are others who agree with Mitch McConnell. They believe that Donald Trump bears responsibility, even though they voted to acquit the former president. But it just goes to show you, Wolf, this party still badly split over Trump. Even after the impeachment trial just a few days ago, it shows you that Trump's influence will continue to linger as the party tries to figure out its way forward, Wolf.
Yeah, scathing attack by the former president against Mitch McConnell. Manu, thank you very, very much. Let's dig deeper into all of this. Joining us now, Jeff Zeleny, Abby Phillip, John King, and Dana Bash. John just got that long statement from the former president attacking Mitch McConnell. And as I said, very personal terms, saying McConnell will never do what is right for our country. That's a direct quote. What's your reaction?
Our reaction is, here's your proof positive. There are some Republicans who thought, oh, he would stay on the sideline. Oh, he will try to be a team player. Here's your proof that the former president thinks he still runs the Republican Party. And here's the proof that if you criticize him, as Mitch McConnell did on the Senate floor after the impeachment trial ended on Saturday, he will come after you. So now comes the test. A, does Donald Trump back it up? Does he have the discipline? Will he raise the financial resources? Will he hit the road in 2022? And will he and Mitch McConnell have a fight? Mitch McConnell went through this a few years back over Tea Party nominees. This ups the stakes quite dramatically to go up against a former president who we know has lost power in Washington. His legacy is indelibly stained in a negative way, but he still has great loyalty among the Republican base. This has been a question for the Republicans. Will Trump go quietly, or will he try to pick and get involved in every fight? Today he tells us he wants to fight. Wolf, that's a problem for the party, which would prefer to organize, get ready for 2022, focus on opposing the Biden agenda at key points, maybe cooperating in other points. Guess what? They have a Trump problem. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Dana McConnell, he has been trying to have it both ways, voting to acquit Trump, but at the same time, he has a moral responsibility, the former president, for the Capitol attack. Clearly, he's either with Trump or against Trump, right?
Well, he's in Never Never Land right now, which is an interesting place to be when you are the effective leader of your party right now. I mean, he's the highest-ranking elected Republican on the national stage, and the fact that he said what he said, I mean, certainly his speech was blistering, but it was definitely undercut by his vote, and we talked a lot about that on Saturday as this was all taking place. As that speech was happening, I was getting texts from some senior Republicans saying that they thought he might have been going too far, that he was clearly picking a fight with Donald Trump. And the former president counterpunched, as he is so, as he's done so many times before. As messy as it seems right now, I will remind you, Wolf, and everybody on this panel knows that for 4 years, Mitch McConnell spent his time getting as much as he could out of a Trump presidency. And for Mitch McConnell, that means the federal bench. And he filled the federal bench with as many conservatives as he could. It was, I believe it was a history-making number. And so if you're Mitch McConnell, insurrection aside, which is hard to do, but if you kind of take that aside for 1 second, he believes he's getting the last laugh in terms of almost his life's goal, filling the court and being the majority leader, which he did lose.
Yeah, and 3 U.S. Supreme Court justices out of 9. That's
exactly.
Pretty impressive. Abby, in this blistering statement from Trump, he advances his big lie about the election. He rails against McConnell. From your perspective, Abby, how dangerous is all of this? What's going on?
Well, Wolf, I do want to, I think, direct a lot of people to what Trump actually is going to do, which I think the answer to that question is we don't know yet. He mentions in the statement that he's going to back primary challengers on the Republican side who will advance his priorities. I think right now the where we are is we'll see. How does that materialize? I think that's where McConnell and Trump may be on two different sides of the politics here. Mitch McConnell wants to be in the majority again, and he's going to be focusing on getting Republicans elected, Republicans beating Democrats in general elections. Trump is going to be focused on getting Republicans to beat other Republicans in primaries. That's going to be, I think, the coming challenge. And I think we'll have to judge what the consequences are of this kind of statement based on what what he's the former president is actually able to accomplish. Will he be able to get primary challengers in some of these states? Will those primary challengers actually win, not just their primaries, but their general election races? I think those are very unanswered questions because, as John has said, no matter what he says from Mar-a-Lago, Trump is a weakened figure in American politics. He is twice impeached. He is deeply unpopular. He was when he left office and still remains deeply unpopular. And that's not an environment in which he can really be calling the shots when he has really no actual position of power. And it's all about what he can actually do to carry out these threats that he's been making from his Florida mansion.